Welcome, everyone, to February 6th, 2024. This is our world session to help us out energetically for the week. So please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me out. Just go in, subscribe to my station. It's completely free, or follow me on different platforms. I'm on Rumble, YouTube, Wix, that Urban Retreat. There's also WordPress, Terry-Ann Nikitas on WordPress, where you get to see some of my tarot readings that I do for the week. I'm also on X, as well as Instagram, Facebook. I think I got it. Oh, and LinkedIn. So you can find me everywhere, either Terry-Ann Nikitas, Urban Retreat, or Dose of Truth Tarot. I'm really asking you to help me out and thanking those people who actually do, who share and like, but the rest of you, if you could help me out, it really, really helps put together this work that I've been doing for quite a few years, and it helps me continue. And I can also be able to purchase new things so I can make better videos. My videos are just adequate for now, but slowly they'll get better and better. All right, so what we're doing today is we're looking at bone density. We're going to look at the epigenetic markers for whatever disease you are experiencing. I've got quite a few people in my mind, some kids who are struggling. I've also got a lot of my clients in mind, and myself for my own genetic heritage. So you might even just, for the moment, just take a breath and peek at your genetic heritage. Okay, so you may not know the people in your family, or you do know the people in your family. We're going to allow your brain and your energy systems to go backwards in time to look for any of those predispositions. But it could be anything from diabetes, osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammatory arthritis, any inflammatory diseases, any and all cancers. Okay, so I was talking at the beginning with the group, do we bring in cancer? So we're going to look at cancer. We really need to optimize the health. Right now it's the first time in a very, very long time since the invention of cleaning up, right? As soon as we started to clean our hands, have a clean environment, a sterile environment, people stopped dying, right? We used to die of just a cut. We got a cut, and that's the end of us. But once we realized we could sterilize things, we got tetanus, all kinds of different aspects, especially the Florence Nightingale effect, like good sunlight, breathing, and eating properly. So this has been coming up a lot recently, is sugar, dairy, gluten, especially in North America. Other countries in the world, it's not as bad and it's not as reactive. But in North America, we add gluten to wheat. So, it's quite taxing on the system, quite taxing on the digestive system, which also is really taxing on our genetics, right? So it can set off methyl markers. So please, if you've got mucus, if you've got allergies, these are things to get rid of really quickly, whether you have allergies or not. Sugar is a huge poison. I'm not going to say too much about it because they're big companies behind sugar and promoting sugar. But you really, really, really need to cut out as much sugar as possible to help your health, to help clean out your DNA. So, and we know right now, diabetes and pre-diabetes is huge. In the US, I don't know what the Canadian statistics are, but in the US, it's huge. It is, crisis point that people are pre-diabetic. So pre-diabetes, diabetes, they're all precursors for heart disease, all kinds of stuff. So let's balance our need for sugar in the brain. Part of that is going to be connected to social media, to telephones, to internet, to everything that's going on. Now, for a lot of us, we were not born in the time of having phones. For those of you who have kids, for those of you who were not born in the time of having kids, we're going to be a support for the next generations because it's pretty bad what's going on. I was listening to a psychologist who said that in the future, they're going to look back and telephones in a child to a teenager to even young adult in their hands is going to be considered as bad as smoking, taking drugs. So I thought that was fascinating. I've been talking about it a lot here, but we got to look out for those young kids, and they're becoming young adults right now, and they've had this phone in their hands, and it is dangerous. It is absolutely dangerous for these kids. They're experiencing anxiety, and they're losing a sense of their individuality and what would be meaningful in their lives. So those of you who are listening to this and are experiencing that, one of my favorite go-to people is Jordan Peterson. He really talks about meaning, and in a beautiful way. I really, really enjoy that. So you can find many, many different ways to start to explore meaning. And kids know, even teenagers know, that vanity is not a good thing. So in a religious context, the 7 deadly sins, kids know. They're not naive. They haven't forgotten it. But the collective consciousness, the phone, the computer, the internet is so pervasive. So when you see those girls posing, you have a private conversation with them. They know darn well vanity is not good. They know it's not good, but it's everywhere. It's in their hands. It's their friends. They're watching people. They're even watching adults, and hopefully, we adults that know this gives us no meaning. It just doesn't. It could be a livelihood for some beautiful woman and man to make their money, but for the rest of us, it's like, no. What's meaningful is the content. Let's say, if in what I'm watching and how I come about that content. All right. So why I'm bringing that up is I want to work with anxiety. So we're going to be obviously different generations are going to be ridden differently with anxiety for different reasons. I've tended to focus on our history, like Jewish history, right? Often goes back to, and many of us have Jewish blood. It doesn't matter if you're a Jew or not. We have Jewish blood. We have the collective consciousness of what happened in Nazi Germany, and we feel it. I feel what happened in Vietnam. I feel what happened in Cambodia. All these different areas of the world. China, you could feel it. That's also your past life that comes through and can cause anxiety this lifetime. Then we have our growing up, our lifetime with our families, with whatever was going on. Like some of us, I have a war father. He was a young child in the war. So there's a lot of traumas that come through that are about the war and the difficulties, and between starvation, between the Nazis coming in and taking over his village, between taking away his Jewish friends, and they disappear, and then how life went on anyway, even though these people disappeared. These are traumatic experiences for all of us in some way. Now that's a little bit of a classical European history and possibly Chinese, but we also go into your personal history. Whatever was going on in your history needs to come through. But now we're contending with something new. Now, the collective has always influenced us. It always does. Just as the moon influences us, as Saturn influences us, solar flares, the shifting of the poles, all of these things are influencing us. We're going to balance the body, mind to all of those things. So I'm just going to tap that right away so I don't pass it. Then we tap the family history. Your brain is going to look for whatever history. It doesn't have to be the ones I described, though it is very common for many people to have that history. And we want to go into these kids. So if you don't want to do this, you can just reject this tapping. You don't need to tap it. Sometimes your body might feel like it's not ready to do this. That's just fine. Okay, that's absolutely fine. Though, I can say that it could be a support to you as well if we're supporting those kids. So I'm just going to use the parameter of supporting in a collective to help these kids find meaning. So I hope that everyone who's looking at this, or a majority of us have meaning, right? Like where do I find my meaning? So if you could just for a moment sit with that and see where you find meaning, so we could bring this into the matrix of this world session and get that energy to help support those who don't have meaning, who might be seeking meaning through a reflection. It's narcissistic, right? I'm looking at the world and I'm saying, well, if I, pucker my lips, or if I, sleep with a lot of men or sleep with a lot of women, or if I do this or do that, I'm going to find my meaning. And it's actually very destructive, very destructive. So just feel into your meaning. And you might have it. I'm just going to label a few so we can really solidify it. One of my meanings is doing this work, just doing it. I just gives me meaning. I get to support myself. I get to support others. I get to be part of the world to help people. That gives me meaning is my family. That gives me very strong meaning. I don't need much more than my family and my beautiful. And when I say family, I have an extended family. People I'm very close to. There's actually a few of them online right now that are my extended family. Okay, there's a lot of sadness coming out. And I just feel it pinching at my eyelids. Okay, so this might not be fun for some of you who have skin issues. So when we go out in the world, the more intuitive, empathetic, and compassionate, compassionate, not so much. It's the experiencing of everything going on around us. I'm not talking about narcissistic compassion or narcissistic empathy where we, oh, I feel so bad for these. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about really and truly feeling what other people are experiencing without much differentiation. It's really hard when you're. There's a good show if you haven't seen it called Heroes, and I don't remember what season, but there's one of the characters can read thoughts, right? And it starts off really, really slowly. Then eventually it's a cacophony of noise. And this person is just sitting there blocking their ears, but they can't block out the sound of everyone's thoughts, which, when I started in this career, people said, I want to read people's thoughts. And I thought, are you insane? How could you possibly want to read someone's thoughts? I experience what people feel constantly, and that is horrifying enough. I can feel, what's going on. I can't quite hear their thoughts, but I know a lot of things that people are thinking. And usually they're thinking things like, I got to go to the bathroom. I got to go to the bathroom. Or I'm really hungry. I'm really hungry. Or I hate myself. I hate myself. You hear 100 people doing that. You need to close off from the world. Now, think about that for a moment and think about what is happening to these kids that are connected by the internet. They're having an experience we didn't have. So even those of us who are sensitive and that are on phones and internet, I know there are a lot of you out there who go, I know what they're experiencing. I don't think we do. Because when I tune into them, I feel some kind of station that I've never experienced before. So I have my stations I tune into. It's not fun when I don't get enough rest. But these kids are experiencing something way beyond their measure. Okay, so the right eye is beginning to cry. Okay, it's moving to the left eye. I'm going to use a scalar wave. Scalar waves, the beauty of them is that they are omnidirectional. And you might just feel that going on within your body. It's going to vibrate out. It's also going to help all of the vibrations going on in and around you. And we are going out as a group, whoever's volunteering with me to support all the young people who are really, really struggling. The nervous system, the brain, we haven't evolved enough yet to deal with this. And they were given phones as teeny weeny little babies. Imagine they're already feeling in that little tiny baby is holding a phone. And all of that experience, the visuals, watching people holding the phone, watching what they do. We need to support these kids to start breaking away so they can have their autonomy, their independence, so they can find their meaning. Please focus on your meaning right now. And we're really going to support our genetics to clear out those methyl and histone markers that are causing disease, including the ones that's coming up big time today is osteoporosis. And I'm kind of curious, which you're not supposed to be during a session. I know that, but I'm being curious anyway. I'm just going to make sure it's not too curious, because sometimes when you're curious in a session, you start going down a road, and then I have to go through the pain and slings and arrows of the suffering of whatever that curiosity is that I seek out. So I'm going to try and make that plain and simple for myself, so I'm not looking for something to discover right now, but allow the body mind to disperse some of this energy that goes into our bones. So some of us are older, we experience osteoporosis. Okay, that's fine. There's a genetic component. We're going to balance estrogen, laziness. Oh, okay. So the laziness of the hypothalamus to produce. So as we age, the hypothalamus becomes lazy. But it's also flipping me to young people who are having huge hormonal difficulties. So sometimes when I'm working is the weirdest thing, and it's never happened in a world session. I don't know what I believe in or not believe in, but many times I've had feelings that there's a hand on me. It'll tug at me or touch me, and it doesn't happen too often, but I've got it happening right now where I feel like somebody's poking me in the back of the left shoulder, and I don't know what the heck that is. It's making me cry. Maybe it's just it feels like it's trying to poke. Wow, it's so bizarre. The triple heater meridian. Triple heater meridian. Give us some balancing to the sexual energy. So I'm dealing with, obviously, estrogen. We'll bring in testosterone. So estradiol, estrogen, testosterone, DHEA, progesterone. Okay, so there's a brain balance. Sorry, brainstem balance, midbrain, and the pituitary hypothalamus connection. So you might want to do this. You can put your one finger at the third eye, one here. That's where your pituitary will be, and a little bit on the brainstem, and see how you experience that. I feel like a real calming. So there's a huge amount of, whether it's you or whether it's your kids, whether it's people there's just a huge emotional. There's that word again, cacophony. Not that the emotions make noise, but they feel like they're just all going on at the same time. So we're going to put a differentiation on our emotions as they relate to the brainstem, pituitary pineal hypothalamus. Just breathe now. And I'm looking at the bones kind of absorbing vitamin C, using calcium, zinc, D. I guess a lot of us Canadians and northern areas of the States, obviously many other places in the world, not getting enough D. Okay, I'm looking at this. There's the muscular system feels lacking in nutrition. Now, this could be very well related, and it is to more sedentary life due to phones, computers. Yeah, we don't move as much as we used to. So my lovelies that are here with me, and there's this movement I love for the spine and for the muscles, which is bending down, arms crossed over like this. I know we're in a chair now, so it's a little bit hard. The best way to do it is to be standing and cut, or sitting cross-legged, arms down, and just inhale, bring them up, and look up at your hands, and then exhale and bring them down, and then come back down. I love this move, even just feeling each vertebrae unraveling. And when you come down, when you go down again after, just feel each vertebrae separating, and then come up again and exhale. And just feel each vertebrae, and feel your core, feel your pelvic floor, your pelvic basin really supporting you. Okay. And now we're just going to move a little wiggle, just a tiny one. We'll just do a tiny one while we're seated, just a nice tiny one. If you want to do more, that's fine. But I'm working with so many people in the world. Some of us have a little pains. You got to watch out if you have pain. If you have pain, think of like the hula. Bring your hands across. There we go. Bring them back. Oh, nice. You're in water. You're just floating in water. And I'm watching the DNA clean up. And now let's drag our chi. Those of you who have low energy, asthma, we've done dragging your chi where you bring your thumb all the way down to the pubic bone, but you can even do it to the sternum. So you could try it, in any way you like it. So try both ways and see which one feels stronger. To me, to the sternum. So hand comes in, and you just breathe, and I'm bringing it right to the sternum, just below the rib cage, above the tummy there. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, that one went right down. I'm going right down to the pubic bone now. So allow yourself to voluntarily let this happen. Okay, you can keep doing it. I'm just going to flip out the shoulders a little bit. Okay. All right, that was a nice, wild, good session. One thing for those of us who have osteoporosis, those of us who have a genetic predisposition to osteoporosis, and we're doing another variation. Now, we're going to, how are we going to do that? I'm just seeing all the porousness of the bones. It's really, I'm just going to say feeding the osteoclasts and osteoblasts, which also means, for those of you who have osteoporosis, you do need to be lifting heavy things, right? That's the one thing that builds bone, is when we do weightlifting. So that's going to help build your bones. So lifting, even if you just lift your own weight, like put your hands against the wall, put your feet a little further back from the wall, and then do push-ups. You're going to get some great workout for your arms. That'll also help your legs. Do a little squat with your legs. Try simple things. Go to your practitioner. Check out and see what you are capable of doing. Really simple stuff. So we want weight bearing. So with the weight bearing actually helped me to see some of the bony tissue filling up. Oh, good burp too. There's a little bit of articulate. So it's really this feeding, like the body, we stop feeding things that need to be fed, and we feed things that don't need to be fed. So like feeding the liver some fat, and there's fat in there. It doesn't need it. What needs to be fed is that the liver can actually get its nutrients and formulate. So we're just going to direct the 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 omentum, the omentum. So the digestive system to the omentum and really feed, but it's really the consciousness of those cells need to be fed, including bone matrix, osteoclasts, osteoblasts. I'm getting really tired now. I think we're done. Okay, so those of you who have the opportunity, it's a good idea to take a little nap if you can after this, or lay down and just, tap. And we'll end there because it's enough. Okay. Love you all and see you next week. Bye.